boy.
Hello, I'm Alyssa.
I'm Shannon.
Welcome back to B-Movie Bash.
B-Movie Bash.
We've got the dooziest of doozies for you today.
Boy.
This has a 2.2 IMDb rating, a 1.6 film affinity rating, and no score on Rotten Tomatoes because I believe I'm one of the only human beings alive that's ever actually seen this movie. It took me 4 hours to find it on the internet. No, I'm not going to tell you where you can find it because I'm pretty sure my computer now has lots of viruses.
Many viruses.
Yeah.
STDs.
Yep.
You know,
it's
all the
just,
things.
which fits with the movie. So, anyway, today I'm going to be reviewing Lizzie Borden's Revenge. Mm-hmm. This is a 2013 movie, and Before
you get started, if you want to kind of play along a little bit, the trailer is on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So, pull up a new tab, pause this, and just look up Lizzie Borden's Revenge trailer.
Yeah.
And watch that for a second, then come back, and you'll know the hell that we're about to go
The trailer was edited better than the movie was.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all I've seen.
Yep.
So this will be great.
And my favorite is that throughout, 98% of the movie, it's just instant transitions to different scenes. It's just jumping around, mm-hmm. which is fine. But then they have two scenes where they have a zoomy in whoosh thingy right towards the end. And I'm like, did they just get a little bored on Movie Maker and
they're like, oh wait, we have transitions.
You guys.
I forgot.
Yeah. So
I upgraded from the free version.
I have not. So
that's okay.
Anyways, the movie starts with a very porn star studio sounding theme, and the logo is a cat, and so it's just
Tomcat Productions.
Yeah,
of course you are.
Do. It's bad. Yeah. It's really bad.
If you've seen a porn, that's what it is.
Yep. And I've watched it so many times because I've had to go restart this movie so many times just because it would crash and all this stuff. Anyway, so I've heard that a lot. Anyway, so the story fades to a very modern two-story looking house. There's garbage cans outside of this thing, right? Mm-hmm. But it says Fall River, Massachusetts, August 4th, 1892. And then we switch to the inside that looks like, I'm pretty sure, the house that they were already filming in. Mm-hmm. But they just hung up sheets everywhere on the walls to cover the regular walling and stuff, and
okay.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. It's just it's bad. Mr. Borden is walking through his house up to Lizzie and Abby Borden, who Abby is Lizzie's stepmother.
Right.
Okay. And they're sitting there. Abby is reading the Bible and Lizzie is just awkwardly sitting. And he says, there's so much work to be done. Can you just sit so idly? And Lizzie, looking uncomfortable, says that she's been wanting to speak to him. He says, more about my estate. I want nothing more to talk about it. And I'm leaving. Go do your job, kind of a thing.
I love the period accurate wording of all of this.
Yeah. The sad thing is that, I think I've seen way better acting from most of the people in this. Mm-hmm. I've seen better acting in high school plays, middle school plays, maybe even.
Well, and one of the main actors, their name is Veronica. I want to say it's Veronica Ricci. And I'm if you are related,
she's not.
Okay, good.
I looked it up.
Okay, good.
There is only 2 things about this actress on IMDb, and one of them is she's not related to Christina Ricci.
Good, because I would have been oh girl, no.
And
sorry.
No, you're fine. I thought that too. I was
so glad.
I need to look this up, and so I did, and it's not.
Okay.
But
so middle school acting, great.
Yeah, and and since the dawn of time, a lot of people have thought that Lizzie Borden killed her dad and her stepmom specifically because of the estate, because he wanted to leave it to other people.
He wanted to leave it to the wife.
Yeah,
and the daughters were
and the daughters were upset about that, and so.
There you go.
Yeah, so it makes sense. But he sends her off. So Lizzie leaves looking very angry. Abby says she will work in the house, and Mr. Borden says he has some affairs to attend to and shall return at 10:30. It's bad. It's really bad. The mom or the lady that plays Abby isn't terrible. Mm-hmm. I could definitely see her being in TV shows kind of a thing. Yeah. Her line delivery isn't that great, but her facial expressions were actually pretty good. Like, I mean, for the few seconds that you really got to see her. Until...
Oh, no.
Until her death scene, because... Spoiler alert. So Abby goes into another room while Lizzie goes back to the living room and takes all of her clothes off except for like just a slip, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, makes sense. You're murdering someone. Yeah. That's fine. You
don't want to get messy.
It's okay. And she walks in to the room that Abby is making up. She's, redoing the bed and stuff. She turns around and just immediately starts like whack, whack, whacking her. But it's like whack, whack, thud, thud noises, right? And they've got fake CG blood squirting everywhere.
No,
yeah.
You couldn't even do like...
And then the scene ever so slightly fades to having like blood on the objects now. So like it's...
Oh, good.
So they couldn't even do like the fake blood right there kind of a thing. Like,
yeah, like prop blood.
Yeah.
People.
But she's laying there on the bed just like twitching as she's getting hit over and over again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so... Oh, there's a weird transition of black and white clouds moving across the sky. And I'm guessing that's to like...
Time has
passed, yes.
Okay.
Because Mr. Borden comes in, and he walks in, this is 2 minutes, 34 seconds into the movie, okay? He walks in, sees Abby on the bed, and just runs over. He doesn't even like, oh, Abby, nothing. No, nothing. He just runs over, which he wasn't even killed in the bedroom. He was killed in the living room on the couch, yeah.
I was just going to give it props for historical accuracy.
Yeah, but it wasn't. I know.
Oh,
and
man.
So he runs in, and that's where he dies. No scream, just dies. And she's just whacking, right? Well, now she's covered head to toe in blood. Like her back is covered in blood.
Of course.
Which, and
the
so
back
then,
swing,
right? It's really bad. So then she goes over to a mirror and she starts cleaning herself up and she disrobes a little bit so that you can see the fakies. And
I forgot we were watching a porno.
Yeah. And I thought, that's not completely terrible. Like, she's trying to wash the blood off of herself. Like, I could understand this scene.
Sure.
The rest of the scenes...
No.
Right. I'm pretty sure she was wearing pasties, though. So,
okay.
I'm like, anyway.
So wait, did they show the full frontal?
Yep.
Okay.
You see a lot of stuff. Yeah. But she looks a little bit upset with what she's done as she's cleaning herself off again and stuff. But she then leaves, comes back in fully dressed, and starts screaming, "Oh, Father, oh no, someone help, blah, blah, blah," right?
Yeah.
So she finds her body, screams out, and it fades to black. Opening credits shows the actresses' names over poorly filtered scenes of upcoming events and blood splatters, like the fake CG blood splatters, and it goes on way too long. The music's not too bad though, really. Like, I don't know, I went and looked up the girl that on the credits that they said did the music. I can't find her anywhere, but props to you, Vivian Clyde, because you're really good.
You did the one thing good.
You did like the whole movie good, so like,
props.
Yes. There's a sudden flash of light, and it transitions us to a photographer taking photos of a scantily clad girl. And he's like, "Looking good, baby. Come on, work it." As he's like rolling on the ground, just clicking shots faster than, like, he's moving the camera faster than he can click, right? Yeah. So it's like you're not even taking real photos kind of a thing. And she's just in like the sexy lingerie taking photos and stuff. And she's like very not into it. She's just hands on her hips like,
That's the look. That's what she was going for.
Right? And he asks what she's going to do with the photos. Internet porn, he asks.
Oh my gosh.
And
what?
She says it's for my boyfriend's birthday. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's not, that's understandable. Boudoir, yeah. And these are his present. And he tries to talk her into going more into it, going more nude for the photos. But her cell phone rings, so she picks it up, and we get a huge exposition dump. And she's like, yeah, just gonna be stuck in a house with a bunch of sorority sisters this weekend. And as the pervy guy is, like, peeking around the corner, like, sorority sisters? The whole weekend? Kind of a look. They're calling it a slumber party, but it's just because we're getting punished for the drinking game we had.
What?
I have no idea. Okay, like
you're stuck in the house, like you're on house arrest.
I guess.
Or like, what does that mean?
So they're getting punished for the drinking game. She asks him to come on by and explains how to get in the house, which is like a loose window in the basement, like. And
this guy she's talking to?
Yeah,
okay.
Her boyfriend and the boyfriend on the phone, and it's just gonna be a bunch of girls in 90s playing Truth or Dare, and I'm like. I've been to a lot of sleepovers in my days, and it could just be, the Southern Utah in me, but I've never been in a nightie at a slumber party.
Played Truth or Dare. We played games.
Yep.
But we also had water shots at those games.
Oh, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, no 90s were found.
Yes. So that sudden transition, we're suddenly in the house, right? Or suddenly outside of this house is very dark, and you just get to see basically that there's a bunch of bushes and a door. So okay. And you hear one of the girls, we're playing Truth or Dare. You hear one of the girls say, some girl from before, same girl from before. I'm calling her first chick in my notes because it took me a very long time in the movie to learn their names, and I was watching the movie. Okay. So first chick is... I hate that game. I always end up making out with some chick. And
darn.
Glasses says to Redhead, well, Leslie likes girls. And, that was... Which girl was that? I don't remember which girl said it. Some girl said it. Okay. And Glasses replies, of course she does. She's a descendant of Lizzie Borden. Apparently, Leslie's last name is Borden, but I'm calling her Redhead in the movie.
And apparently, Lizzie Borden might have been a lesbian.
Apparently, according to history.
Also not.
But also, we have no idea. Yeah. You don't know. You weren't Lizzie.
It's just a rumor.
I think it's just a rumor, yeah. And they're they all look at her really confused, and she's they're what does that have to do with her, munching the lawn, says overreactor.
Oh my God.
They say dyke a lot in this movie, too. So,
oh, my God.
Yep.
Munching
the lawn.
I hate that so much.
Yeah, I was calling her Tough Girl at first, but I've decided she's not Tough Girl, she's Overreactor. Okay. So, her name's Overreactor for the movie now.
Cool.
And then Glasses goes, it's a well-known fact that Lizzie B had a relationship with Nans O'Neill. And I was like, who the fuck is Nans O'Neill? Anyway,
good old Nans.
Yeah. Who? Asks Brunette. A stage actress. Their relationship was so intense. Lizzie B, or I call her LB or Lizzie B in my notes. So if you hear me calling her different things, I'm sorry. Lizzie B's sister disowned her. And they're like, shut up. Lizzie Borden was not gay, says the first chick, and neither is Redhead. The whole time they're talking about Redhead potentially being a lesbian, right. And she never once is like, guys, I'm not a lesbian, or maybe I am, maybe I'm not. She just sits there and stares at them. No real reaction whatsoever. She's just okay.
She gets it all the time.
I'm guessing.
What the fuck?
And I'm what the fuck does it matter if she is or if she isn't? In the whole context of everything, but they're just she's not a lesbian. And I'm
because Truth or Dare matters.
I guess. They ask two truths. That's it. Anyway, it's stupid. It's okay. So Blonde Slut walks in, and she's my second favorite character.
We love a blonde slut.
We love Blonde Slut. She walks in nothing but a thong.
Okay.
And they're all
nobody does this.
Nobody
in
does.
real life.
Yeah. So Prude, who I was calling her the Asian girl. For a good minute because I was there's nothing else about her so far.
Yeah.
And then she turns out to be the stuck up, the goody two shoes. So I'm just calling her Prude for it. Because she's getting mad at everyone else for wanting to drink and stuff. But anyway, so she's Prude. But I wanted to point this out that she is Asian because later on in the story they say something that I was bitch, what? Anyway, okay.
Okay.
So suddenly Blonde Slut walks in the room and they're why is she naked? And she's what? It's a slumber party. This is what I sleep in. And they're slumber party means nighties. And Blonde Slut doesn't want to put on anything, so she just goes and sits down. And as she's walking away, the first chick says, I don't want to stare at your ass crack. And she's well, what's wrong with that? Just being kind of funny back, Overreactor says, well, Redhead would appreciate it, but she should just say no to crack.
Oh, no.
She's very much huh?
Funny?
So funny? And no one laughs at her. They all stare at her she's stupid. And she goes, that was a joke. And they just keep staring at her. And she's well, somebody better laugh before I get pissed. Biting flesh and breaking glasses kind of kicking ass angry. Or kind of ass kicking angry. And she's... I have no idea.
What?
But that's the reason why I instantly rewrote her as overreactor.
Yes, I understand.
Yes. I'm only 10 minutes into the movie. Yeah. Of watching this, right?
Yeah.
But she's like screaming this at everybody. And Brunette turns to her and is like, hey, 3, 2...
Somebody better laugh or I'm going to assault some
people.
And
Brunette's just trying to calm her down. And I was just like, I had to pause because I was laughing so hard that she was like biting flesh and kicking. Like,
yeah.
Yep. It was pretty bad. So,
okay.
Yep. But they finally convince Blonde Slut to get up and go put some clothes on, right?
Yeah.
And so she gets up to leave, and we instantly transition back to the pervy photographer in his studio, where he pulls out a little camcorder, whatever that was, pulls out a camcorder, opens it up, and he starts talking to the camera as if he's vlogging, right? Okay. And he goes talking about his Bobby Peeps website.
Oh no.
So he's telling his viewers about the slumber party, and tune in later to see me enter the girls sorority house. That's right, I said enter, and suddenly Blonde Slut jumps up and she's like, oh my gosh, it felt like something just entered me. And I'm like, huh?
No.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It's really gross. Yep. And all the girls are like, ew, you're gross. Don't talk like that. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, just, ugh. And the redhead changes the subject back to truth or dare, saying she doesn't want to play. And Brunette is like, listen, we're in this house all locked up with nothing to do. We're playing. And I'm like, why are you locked up in this house? What is going on, right? And apparently, like, they say it like 6 different times that they're locked in here for the whole weekend. And apparently it's because they got in trouble for some drunk time they were playing truth or dare.
So let's do it again. But they're the only ones being punished. The rest of the sorority sisters got to go on spring break to Florida, but they had to stay here locked inside all weekend. I don't think they're like adults.
They're adults, and I'm like 90% sure illegal. So,
like, if you're gonna have them in jail for the weekend,
right?
I guess.
Yeah, but like
not locked into their home.
No. Locked into their home.
Unless it's like a police officer who has an ankle monitor on all of them. Like, what?
Yeah, and it's not even like they have like a den mother or whoever there. Like, they don't have
like the college said.
Yeah, like, we have to stay here, and it's just the excuse to make it so that they can't escape the house really easily.
Yeah, sure.
So it's stupid. Anyway, but Prude says that last time they played, obviously, is because of the alcohol, and she's like, I just really don't think that this is very smart for us to be playing Truth or Dare again. Sorry, my dogs are so loud. And Glasses is like, well, I'm going to go first. I dare all of us, that's not how the game works, to do a seance to summon Lizzie Borden.
What the fuck?
And
just starting off so strong.
Oh, so strong, right?
Bring it on, Lizzie fucking Borden.
Glasses turned into my 3rd favorite character.
Okay.
Mostly just because she's sitting there just like, well, that's not logical. That's not sensible. Like, logically.
Oh, she's wearing glasses.
Yeah, so she's the smart one.
Okay.
And but she makes a couple of funny lines throughout the movie that I'm just like, okay. Like, the way she delivered it, she's not that great of an actress for most things, but some, like, her being this awkward, nerdy chick kind of worked, and I liked it for this. She's in a couple of other movies that I looked up, and I'm excited to review those ones for you, because they're bad.
Okay.
So, yes. Anyway, so she's like, yeah, let's summon Lizzie Borden, and Overreactor says that's that's dangerous and that it's not a joke, says the bitch who can't joke.
Yep.
And they tell Glasses that she's obsessed with Lizzie B, and Glasses says it'll work because Redhead is related to her. And Brunette puts her foot down and is like, to all the other girls, because they're all complaining like, that's stupid, that's dumb, I don't want to do it. And she's like, listen, we're playing Truth or Dare. We're stuck in here all weekend. We're going to do her dare. So everybody get on the floor. Like, just, she's the one in charge.
She took control.
Yeah, she took control. She's the one yelling at everybody the whole time. So they finally are like, okay, get on the floor. And again, Overreactor is like, no, this is really dangerous. We really shouldn't do this and stuff. And they're like, this sounds boring and stupid as they're getting into the line and stuff. And again, overreactor is just sitting there. She doesn't want to do it. Mm-hmm. And they're like, what are you doing? And she's like, guys, this is dangerous. Like, I'm not going to be part of this. And they're like, yeah, we know it's dangerous. You've said it to us 100 times. And she goes, have I really said something 100 fucking times? That's insane. That's implying there's something wrong with me. Are you saying there's something fucking wrong with me?
What? I thought you were going to be like, yeah, and you're not fucking listening, and I've said it 100 times.
No.
But no, that's a lot weirder.
Oh, yeah, no. That's why I'm like, that's a large overreaction right here. That's not like a, oh, fuck you kind of a thing. It's
like, you're just telling us that you're crazy at this point.
I know. That's implying that I'm insane. No.
That's not what we said. That's what you said.
Yeah, exactly. So they all look at her like she's crazy, right? And she calms down and she's like, fine. So she joins the circle. And, Glasses starts trying to summon Lizzie Borden, and it's just like, Lizzie Borden, if you are there, give us a sign, kind of a thing. And the lights start to flicker on and off, right? Mm-hmm. And they're all like, ooh, this is kind of actually spooky, you know? Like,
now that it's working.
Yeah, now that it's working. And they're like, redhead, call out to Lizzie, call out to her. And she's like, Lizzie Borden. And they're like, actually call out to her. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit you. They're like, actually call out to her. And she's like, Lizzie Borden. Kind of a thing. And and then the lights start to flicker and stuff, and Glasses is like, did you really kill your parents? Or did someone else do it? Are they trying to like pin it on you, kind of a thing? Mm-hmm. And so you're like, oh, is that the story they're going with? Yeah, is that she's getting revenge because they blamed her for it, kind of, and that's what I thought it was going to be for half a second. It's not.
Yep, I can tell.
Yep. And Redhead screams all of a sudden, saying that something touched her, and they immediately stop. Like, they just stop this little seance singing, and everybody gets back up in their seats and stuff. And the first chick goes, well, I dare us all to drink. And Blonde Slut is like, now that's a dare. And so she gets up to go to her room because she's hiding some alcohol in there, right?
Of course.
And as she's bending over to reach into her hamper, some girl spanks her ass. Just like... Okay. Well, not fully her ass, but like her lower back, right?
Yeah.
And it scares her. The worst thing here is that Blonde Slut isn't a very great actress, but she wasn't terrible. Like, all of her line delivery was like, the lines are really cheesy, but it was believable to me, like how you deliver lines. And sorry. And everybody else was basically like, it was bad. It's all bad. Anyway, but she turns around to see a girl in the classic Britney schoolgirl outfit with it tied up a little, you know?
Whoa.
And the plaid skirt and the knee-high socks and stuff. And Blonde Slut is like, what are you doing here? You know? And I was like, who the fuck are you? You know, like, you know? Because they've at least said all of the other girls' names earlier. I didn't understand who was who, but they've at least said everyone's name.
Yeah.
I remember Janice because Janice is the agent, and they kept going, fucking Janice. Like, and so I remember her. But I've watched the movie like 6 times now, so
you're a pro.
So I know all their names, but I had their names written down as their nicknames. So she's like, what are you doing here? And the schoolgirl, calling her schoolgirl, goes, do you think any question is a stupid question? My psychiatrist says no question's a stupid question. Like, out of nowhere, just, you know, I'm crazy, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, how the fuck did you get in the house? Who are you? Kind of a thing.
What's going on?
And they don't even say who she is at first, right? Yeah. You find out later she's Brunette's little sister. She snuck into the house. So, like...
You're just supposed to know that.
Yeah, I'm just supposed to know that. And why the fuck are you wearing that? Like...
Yeah, it's not Halloween, bitch?
Yeah.
Like, so... Is that what you wear to bed? Because I don't believe you.
I don't believe you, yeah. So, the Blonde Slut goes, I don't know. I probably asked a lot of stupid questions. And she's just like, okay, you know? So schoolgirl just starts asking, like, rambling, like, about, do you think I'll get into college? Do you think I can come to this sorority even though I'm not going to school here? Do you think I'll die before I'm 30?
What the hell?
Yeah, and Blonde Slut is like, does your sister know you're here? And I was like, oh, that's who the fuck you are. Like, I'm over here thinking that she's, like, the ghost of Lizzie Borden's sister or some shit. Like, who the fuck? You know, like, they give you no idea who she is at first. And, like, she didn't even turn on and be like, oh, Vanessa, like, what are you doing here? Like, she gives any indication that she knows who she is. She's just like, what are you doing here? Looking at her like she's some girl that broke into her house. Anyway, but when they were like, does Amanda know you're here? And I was like, who the fuck is Amanda? She's brunette. But, like, I had that written down in my notes, and I was like, who the punk are you? Anyway, so Blonde Slut asks what, she's like, please don't tell her I'm here. I'm just, she knows I'm here, but just don't tell her that I'm here.
Of course.
Of course, she knows you're here, right?
Yeah.
So Blonde Slut is like, she's gonna be pissed if you don't, if I don't tell her that you're here. And she's like, you said the P word, I'm telling.
How old are you?
She's at least 19. At least 19.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, but I'm like, what if she's a little cray-cray? Then I get if she was just like, I don't know. Okay. And so, Blonde Slut is like, well, who are you going to tell? And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, exactly. Nobody. No. Fuck you. So Blonde Slut goes, well, what are you going to do for me if I don't tell your sister you're here? And she's like, I don't know. What do you want? And she's like, how about a kiss? Like, totally being funny kind of a thing. Uh-huh. And so schoolgirl goes, okay, and like sticks her tongue out going in for a kiss. And she's like, ew, never mind, I don't want one. And so I thought that's a little silly, like a little funny, but like, you shouldn't be asking 19-year-old weirdo girls to be kissing you. So,
take notes, kids.
Yeah, take notes like I did. So she's like, ew, never mind, I'll pretend like I didn't see you. And she turns around to grab the bottles, like turns around, picks them up, turns back around, and she's gone. So I was like, she's a ghost. She's not a ghost. She's just apparently really fast. So like, she's just really fast. So yeah, anyway, so we flash back to the living room, and Overreactor and Redhead are talking, and Overreactor is just like, alcohol just like calms me down. It's, just, and I'm like, that's alcoholism. That's
way to have a dependency.
And then, she's like, and I've got anger issues. What about you? And Redhead happens to glance in a mirror and sees herself suddenly dressed in old-timey clothes, like holding a little hatchet, going like this.
Oh no.
Just like whacking it, but like at her own reflection anyway. So she freaks out, immediately turns around, and starts doing the Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks, and like all the girls start like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then she goes, alert for anyone wearing headphones. She goes, she's swinging this like little paddleboard too, like the classic college paddleboard thing, right? Okay. And she's like, when she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. Like, it just screams it, and they're all like, what the fuck are you doing? So they're just, everybody is, what? And then she's like, I dare anybody to get in my way! And just yelling about it, right? And just twitching all over the place for a second. And it, like, the screen flashes a little bit, and it shows Lizzie just waving the axe and stuff while she's screaming this and everything. Prude calls her a freak and is like, are you off your meds? And Redhead's like, I'm not on any meds. Just...
maybe that's the problem.
Right? And so Overreactor is like, why did you just say that rhyme? And she's like, I don't know. So Glasses tries to make fun of it, and she's like, oh, well, did you know actually that rhyme was like a child skipping song? And like just ha 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 awkwardness, right? And then Blonde Slut walks in, and she's like, woo, I got the alcohol. And they're like, yay, hooray. But first chick is like walking out of the room and like tries to take a bottle with her. And they're like, nope, you got to stay in here to drink. But she's like, whatever, I'll be right back. So she leaves to go downstairs. We get a sudden flashback to Lizzie and her stepmother. And the stepmother's like, come sit down. I want to, she's like, you wanted to speak with me, stepmother? She's like, no, not speak. Pray, and then reads her a Bible verse. I'm like, that's not how you pray. Anyway, whatever. But the Bible verse is effectively like, oh, you were so pure and virtuous when you were first born, but look how sin has tainted you and turned you evil, kind of a thing. Oh. And I didn't write down the full verse because it was pretty long.
That's so nice.
It's so nice, right? And so Lizzie goes, are you reading that to me because you think I have sinned, or you think I'm going to sin? And she says, your father asked me to read it, and I have work to do, and leaves. So Brunette, as they're filling up their little glasses and everything, Brunette says, let's have a toast. May we all graduate, may we all find love, and most importantly, may we all take no prisoners.
Okay.
And I'm like, what?
Yo-ho.
Okay, yeah, like, all right. So they're like, yeah, and everyone takes a sip. But Prude doesn't want to drink because of the reason why they're locked up in the house in the first place. And she's like, listen, guys, we're locked up in here. The windows are basically unbreakable. And I'm like,
Okay. Why?
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, you can't unlock your windows and open them? Like,
yeah, like, what kind of sorority house is this?
What kind of fire hazard is that, you know?
Yeah.
So, Brunette gets up and is like, come with me, and takes her into the hallway where she shows her this fucking fire axe hanging on the wall. And a sign that says, in case of emergency, use this axe to break the fucking door down and get your ass out of here. That's the sign.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I'm like...
Does it look like official, or is it like, haha, this is the sign we made?
It looks like, haha, this is the sign we made, kind of a thing. And I'm like, is that a real axe even? Like...
Weird.
Prude is just like, well, this is stupid. Like, what are we supposed to do? Break down the door if there's a fire? And she's like, yep, guess so. And she's like, fine, whatever. And she's like, now let's go back, and you're going to drink with us, and you're going to play Truth or Dare with your sisters. And she's like, well, I've never really felt like I was one of you guys. And I'm like, yeah, because they go fucking Janice. Like,
yeah.
You know? And so she's like, yeah, well, your other sisters left you here to go on a super awesome trip, spring break to Florida. So you're one of us, kind of a thing. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't want to be one of you if you're going to talk to me like that.
Thank you for convincing me. I appreciate it.
And you're like, all right. So then it flashes to first chick heading down the stairs, and we hear her name being whispered for half a second. And she's just like, she's like, oh my gosh, what is that ghost whispering stuff, right? And she runs into Schoolgirl, right? And she's like, have you been making those ghost whispers? And Schoolgirl says that she's been here for a while, but no, she hasn't like been making the ghost whispers and stuff. But she's like, yeah, well, I've been here for a while, and my sister knows I'm here. And first chick, like, that's immediately what she says, right?
Yeah.
And first chick says there's no way she'd be wearing a nightie and playing Truth or Dare if she knew her sister was wandering around the house. And the sister goes, a nightie? She's wearing a nightie? Is it the one with the, with the pink flowers, or the one with the dead kittens? Oh, wait, those are my nighties. And I'm like, huh?
What is going on?
Where do you buy a nightie with dead kittens?
Yeah. Like, is it maybe, like, supposed to be, like, cute, like, cartoon skull and crossbones, but cats?
I have no idea.
That's what I'm trying to picture.
I hope so, because I was like...
The fuck?
Yeah, I have no idea. First chick is like, do your parents know you're here? And she shoves her onto the couch. Like, just, Schoolgirl shoves first chick onto the couch and is like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. And so first chick jumps up really quick and grabs onto her arm, and she's like, I'm taking you to your sister. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
She's like, she's in the living room with her sisters, and she's like, I'm her only sister. And she's like, I mean her sorority sisters. And she's like, you know what? I'm her only sister, and I'm gonna take myself over to her, and like yanks herself out of her arm and walks away. And so first chick is like, whatever, and continues on down to the basement, right?
Uh-huh.
And so she's like walking down there, and she keeps hearing whispers and stuff. Her name's being whispered. She's like, if this is my boyfriend, he is not getting any, kind of a thing. You know, like, she's really pissed because she's getting spooked and stuff. But she like walks into this hoarder basement.
Okay.
And I'm like, everybody else had trouble getting into the basement in the first place because they said it was a locked door to the basement. And I'm like, okay, that kind of makes sense. However, everyone just like was able to push a button and get in. Like, just like push the little like lock on the inside and get in. Like, okay, yeah. And they just keep talking about how it's locked on their side. And I'm like,
So unlock it.
Yeah, and just, it's, anyway. So she gets down there, and he kind of jumps out to scare her and stuff, and she's like, oh my gosh, babe. And then hands him the things, and she's like, happy birthday.
Oh, God.
And he's like, oh, what's this? You know, and pulls them out, and he's like, ooh, these are sexy, you know, and she's like, giggling back, and I'm like, the nightie you're wearing right now was way cuter than the one she took for the pictures.
Right? Like, I'm like, how surprising and sexy is it if that's something you wear all the time?
Yeah, like,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess he gets to keep them and look at them whenever he wants, but...
True, but it's just... So then she, like, leans in really close, and she's like, happy birthday, babe.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
And then they kiss. Gross. And so then upstairs, we've got Prude and Blonde Slut totally getting wasted. Like, they're just drinking and drinking and drinking, getting drunk.
Wait, Prude?
Yeah, Prude's getting drunk.
All right.
Yep. So, like, I guess she's very much the type of, like, can't hold her liquor, and when she starts to drink, she keeps drinking, kind of a thing.
All right.
So Brunette says that it's Blonde Slut's turn to go, and she's like, but whatever you do, make sure you don't dare me to sing. And they're like, oh, we're not going to fall for that. And she's like, what? Just like, really, guys, don't dare me to sing. I hate it. They're like, we all know you love to sing. We're not falling for this. No one's going to dare you to sing. And she's like, what? No, what?
But really, guys, like,
don't. Yeah, like, just don't. And so then Blonde Slut goes, okay, truth. What really happened to your sister? And she's like, what about my sister? And they're like, she's fucking crazy, right? And she's like, okay, well, it's more than that. And they're like, well, what happened? And apparently she was home alone while the brunette was out at a party or something. Mm-hmm. And so she was down in the basement doing her homework, listening to music, and didn't hear her parents getting murdered upstairs.
The fuck?
Yeah, somebody came in and murdered them. So it shows her, like, way too long walking through the dark house to get into their bedroom, and the whole bedroom is basically just like these two people laying on a bed covered in sheets, and like the headboard's covered in a sheet. There's a couple of lamps, but like there's really not much to this room. And I know it's a really short scene, but like
yeah, some kind of detail
something
would be nice.
Yeah, anything would be better than what it was. I don't. Anyway, so she sees them there and she's like and then kneels down and starts like and starts laughing, right? Oh. So you're like, oh, did she have like a psychotic break seeing that kind of a thing? But like, anyway,
also,
but
I know that truths are supposed to be like also just as bad as dares, but like that's a personal question. That's not about someone who's in the room.
Yeah.
Like that's
yeah.
Okay.
So, let's see. And then she sits there and laughs for way too long. And the whole time all the rest of this stuff is going on, Redhead, who is like hanging out on the one couch, just keeps giving these really weird, like sultry, like smirky eyes and stuff. No. And you're like, this is really gross, right?
Possessed
like
by a lesbian.
She's totally possessed, right? And so, Glasses was like, did they ever find out who did it? You know, like she's very like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, we never did. And you're like, well, it's because the sister did it.
Yeah.
Like, duh, you know? All the rest of the context of seeing the sister, you're like, she's a fucking killer, right? Anyway, So Redhead goes, I know who did it. And they were like, what? How the fuck could you know? And she's like, it was Lizzie Borden. And then they like flash back to the scene of the sister sitting there like laughing. And the ghost of Lizzie Borden is just like hacking away at her parents. And I'm like, what? First of all, how? Okay, like, no.
How?
Just,
also, why?
Why? And
also, what?
Yeah. And so Brunette starts to get upset and is just like, it wasn't fucking Lizzie Borden, you know, like just like getting pissed off and stuff. And Blonde Slut is like, hey, listen, this is really dumb. Let's just dare two chicks to make out already. And Drunk Prude is like, yeah, we should get first chick to do it. And they were like,
yeah, the one with the boyfriend.
Yeah, but they don't know that he's in the house, obviously.
True.
So they were like, where did she go? And Blonde Slut's like, I'll go find her. And Redhead's like, no, I'll do it. And gets up to walk away.
Oh, no.
And so you're like, okay.
Oh, no.
But as she's walking out, like literally right around the corner, runs into Schoolgirl. Like her sister's literally like a stone throw away.
Yeah.
And they're talking. And the sister has no idea she's in the house, right?
Okay.
And so she like walks right up to Redhead. And Redhead like pauses against the wall, like just...
Oh, no.
With these eyes, you know. And Schoolgirl is like, you're sort of like me, aren't you? Something's inside of you. And Redhead she like grabs her head and is like, something's inside of you. And Redhead's just staring at her and is like, sorry about your parents. I promise I didn't kill them.
What the fuck?
Right? And you're like, okay, but you just said Lizzie Borden did it, so fuck off. Anyway.
Yeah.
So she like drops her hands and starts to walk away, and Schoolgirl just goes, we're all gonna die.
What?
Yep. Yep. So then it flashes outside, and Perv Guy shows up to the house, and he's got like his backpack, and he's got his little camera, and he pulls out the camera, and is just like, hey, Bobby Peeps world viewers, blah, 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 I'm here at the house. Let's see if I can get in. That looks like a pretty old back door. And if I can't pick the lock, then my name's not Bobby Peeps.
This is illegal.
I know.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, so you're just gonna break into this house of these girls and have sex with them, that's a felony.
Yeah. Also, you're showing your face?
Yep.
On the internet.
On the internet.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And
kind of idiot.
Yep. So then he goes to the back door and after a minute picks it and unlocks it and he goes inside and he picks up a paint can and puts it by the door and like props it open. And I was like, okay, quick escape route in case they start screaming at you and call the police, right? Yeah. Anyway, so it goes back to the first chick in the basement. I keep moving the table. It goes back to the first chick in the basement making out with her boyfriend when suddenly the ghost of Lizzie Borden comes around a curtain and just starts whacking at the boyfriend, okay? But she comes around the first chick's back, right? So like the first chick can't even see her behind, but apparently hears this going on, screams and ducks while her boyfriend just starts getting hacked. Like, he doesn't even, and shoves her out of the way. Nothing. He just starts like, like getting whacked and stuff. And she like totally dodged out of the way when she should not have known she was there.
Yeah. And also, it's the ghost of Lizzie Borden.
I will show you what she looks like.
But not redheaded chick?
Nope.
So how are you possessed by Lizzie Borden, but also Lizzie Borden is running amok?
Yeah. So, well, they kind of make sense of it later, but, like, this is what she looks like.
Oh, my God. What? No.
Yes.
No. No.
So that's her.
Please send me these pictures.
I will, yes.
Or
no, we will put them on the screen.
Oh, those eyes.
Yeah, it's really bad. Hang on. In case I have to look up the time for the song again. Okay. Oh,
it's a song? Oh, she sings? Oh, no. Sorry. Jumping ahead.
So he's like getting whacked and killed and stuff, and so she runs away screaming and stuff, right? And she runs up to one of the doors that apparently locks from the other side,
right? Which
is, the safest way to have a basement, and is screaming and pounding, help, help, help. Anyway, they go back upstairs, and you just, let's see, she's screaming for help, and Overreactor is listening to the Prude and Blonde Slut just laughing away, right? And she's like, guys, shut up. And so they all shut up for a second, and she's like, did you hear that? And they literally wait like 2 seconds, and Brunette goes, I don't hear anything.
I hate that so much.
Right? Like, they don't even listen.
Yeah.
Like, and they were like, what did you hear? And she goes, I don't know. It sounded like somebody was screaming faintly. And Glasses goes, screaming faintly? How do you even scream faintly kind of a thing? Like,
from far away.
Yeah.
What?
So Overreactor is just like, are you making fun of me? And Glasses is like, no, not remotely. Well, not really. But no, not really. Like, and I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about here, right? Anyway, so the first chick in the basement sneaks back over to her now dead boyfriend and is like, but like pulls his cell phone out of his pocket because she doesn't have her phone on her. She's obviously in a nightie, right?
True.
And so I appreciate that she's trying to be quiet, but like she was the only person that ever seemed like genuinely upset that somebody was dead, right?
Everyone else just like, oh.
They were like, run away! Like, and she was the only one who was like, oh baby, oh. So she grabs his phone and starts trying to like call someone, but it doesn't work because they're in the basement. And I've been in basements where cell phones don't work, so I understand that.
Sure.
But like, okay, but anyway. So then Redhead comes back and it's just like, couldn't find her kind of a thing, And Prude dares Redhead and Drunk Slut to make out. And they were like, okay. And so they lean over and kiss. But like before this, Redhead is just like giving her these weirdo like sultry like but I'm possessed eyes the whole time. Like if you saw the scene you'd understand. But then right before they kiss she goes and grabs the liquor and like takes a swig and then looks back at her like, okay, let's do this. Kind of like just really, I wish you could see. I'll try to find that scene because it's anyway. It's just really bad. So they kiss, and they're like, there we go, we did it. And they're like, that's not making out. And they were like, we're not going to make out in front of you. We did your dare.
Guys.
Yeah. And Blonde Slut's like, oh, what, you think you can't handle it kind of a thing and stuff? And she's like, well, I'm not going to make out in front of all of you. And so Blonde Slut grabs her hand and yanks her into the hallway, right? And as she yanks her into the hallway, pulls down her nightie and is like, oops, what happened? Like, to show her boobs and stuff. And is like about to kiss her again, but they suddenly notice that the axe is missing in the hallway.
Oh no.
Yeah, and where'd it go, you know?
Oh, boy.
And she's like, wait, wasn't there the axe here and stuff? And she's like, oh, well, I'm going to go grab my cell phone and then I'll meet you in my room in a minute. And she's like, okay, sure, you're going to meet me in your room in a minute. So blonde slut goes on into the room, which is her bedroom.
Okay.
It was the same room that she went and got the alcohol out of the hamper. So, like, unless that was Redhead's room, I don't, anyway. So, Redhead comes back in, puts her cell phone on the counter, and they start fooling around, which is, let me yank your nightie down again, and basically just, like, be tickling each other the whole time. So it's a lot of loud, screamy giggles of just, and, ooh, touching here and touching there, like, tickle fights kind of a thing. And they're like, ooh, you really do know what to do. And I'm like,
what are you doing,
What
though?
are you doing, though?
That's
like,
not what you do. Sorry. That's not foreplay.
That's not foreplay. But they're like scream laughing, and the other girls are in the room like, oh, or Glasses is like, I do not want to hear the sounds of their fornication, and I'm like, oh,
you're not. Don't worry.
You're not smart. You know, like you're not that smart. So say fornication, like anyway. But she would say stuff like that, like
do the fancy
words. Yeah. Anyway, so it shows in the basement that the first chick is, she's wandering around and bumps into the perv guy because he somehow got into the basement real easy. Like,
right.
Yeah. But he gets in the basement and they bump into each other and they're just like, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing here? And he's like, I'm here to film a movie. Basically, he kind of just dumb stuff. And she's like, ew, you're just like some perv, huh, who lives in his mom's basement. He's like, I don't live in her basement. I have my own room.
Oh,
it just so happens to be in the basement.
Not helping,
right? And so he's like, but what does it matter if I want to live with my mother? Like, don't you love your mother? And she's like, yeah, but I wouldn't live with my mother. And he's like, well, I want to take care of her in her older years and stuff and make sure she's well cared for and everything. And you're like, dude, okay, but shut up.
No,
like,
just leave.
Just stop talking. Yeah. And so she's like, do you have a cell phone? And he's like, no, I'm kind of more of a web guy. Did I ever tell you I have my own website? And she's like, gross. And so she's trying to get reception, and they're wandering around the basement trying to get reception and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And
like, this is the same, like, he took her photos, right?
Yeah.
So she knows who he is.
She knows who he is. And she's like, did you follow me here? And he's like, yeah, kind of, like, kind of a thing.
So stalking, breaking and entering, rape.
Yep.
Cool. Great.
So cool. Yep. And so she finds a ladder and climbs up it and, like, happens to get high enough to, like, the rest of the floor, or, like, the second floor that she can make a call, right?
Because that's how thick ceilings work.
Yeah, that's... Anyway. So she makes she's like, oh, I got it, and makes a call. And I think she called Redhead. Because Redhead's phone starts ringing, and she answers it, and is like, hello? Oh my gosh, oh no, I'll be right there. Okay. And then walks out of the room. And so I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's her trying to call Redhead for help, right? Mm-hmm. But they never say who she tried to call. And it took me the, like, third time watching it that I was like, oh, they were probably trying to insinuate she called Redhead, because I was like, who the fuck is she calling? And why did Redhead suddenly randomly get a call? Like, I did not put two and two together till, like, the third time I was watching it. I mean, I did watch them all in different parts, but, like... Yeah. Anyway, her phone rings and she's like, oh, I'll be right there and stuff. So annoyed, the blonde slut gets up and she's like, I'm gonna take a shower. And she walks over to that weirdo door I was telling you about that has, like, these weird slats. And then walks through it and then opens another door to get into the really nice bathroom, actually. It was pretty nice. But she goes to get in the shower, yanks off her top, right? Mm-hmm. But she steps in her panties. And I'm like...
Couldn't you just not show full body?
Right?
If you didn't want to take off your underwear?
I don't know. And then turns around and suddenly Zombie Borden, that's what I'm calling her, shows up and just starts whacking at her with the axe. And she's like, and she's dying. So the girls think downstairs that
fornification
that they're actually going through with things. And they're like, ew, this is so gross. And like, if I didn't know any better, I think she's getting chopped to death.
No, you wouldn't.
And I'm like, no, because that's not how you sound when you're getting chopped to death.
No, you scream.
You
die.
Just...
What?
It was really bad. So she's dead in the shower with the shower running, like, the whole time. Like,
what a waste.
I know. And then it goes back to the basement. And they're, like, walking along, and first chick brings pervy guy up to her dead boyfriend, and he's like, oh my gosh, your boyfriend really is dead. Like, he thought she was just acting crazy, right?
Yeah.
And then Zombie Borden suddenly shows up and starts whacking at her, like, out of nowhere, just, like, next scene, dead. And so perv guy is like, ugh, and runs away because...
She couldn't have killed him?
Nope.
Why?
He's needed for later in the story.
Okay. Also, obviously we don't know what first chick said to Redhead on the phone, but presumably it would be like, I'm locked in the fucking basement and, like, shit is happening. And Redhead didn't relate any of that to Blonde Slut.
Nope.
Just, like, did her own thing.
Nope. She's just like, oh no, I'll be right there, and wandered out with her top down. So, like, which her nightie actually was pretty cute. It was, like, full length. It was kind of cute.
Okay.
But, so he runs away. It's suddenly upstairs again, and they're like, okay, overreactor, it's your turn to go. And she's like, okay, truth then. Was that story you told about your parents real? Like, was it true? And she goes, yes and no. She did find our parents, but we were actually adopted, so they weren't our birth parents or anything.
It's way less traumatizing when they still raised you, but you're adopted.
They were the only parents they ever knew. Like,
yeah, still your parents.
Still your parents. She was like, well, I was 2, and schoolgirl was like a baby.
Yeah.
So, and she's like, I still have a few memories of them, and that's enough for me. And I was like, I don't fucking remember shit from when I was 2. Like,
no.
I can't tell you anything from when I was 2.
No.
So what memories are you, like, these better be some pretty good damn memories. Like,
yeah.
are you producing a Patronus with these things? Like, what? So she was like, but I looked up my parents one time and I found out that their last name is O'Neill. So I'm actually an O'Neill kind of a thing. And Glasses goes, O'Neill? And she's like, yeah, what? She's like, do you think you could be a descendant of Nans O'Neill?
Oh, God.
And she's like,
oh, no.
What are you talking about? She's like, Nans O'Neill, the one that like Lizzie Borden supposedly had a relationship with and stuff.
Oh, my God.
And she's like, you know what, let's change the subject. And they're all like, where did everybody else go? Like, where are all of them? And I was like, well, the 2 you're assuming are upstairs banging.
Yeah.
And the 1 you don't know. So, like, why are you gonna, like, go look for them, right? But they're all like, well, why do we all have to go? Let's just send Janice. And Janice is like, why do I have to go, Prude? Yeah. And they're like, just go do it, Prude. Like, and so she's like, fine. So she's up, drunk, teetering around the house, like, slamming into walls and shit, looking for everybody. And I'm like, okay. And I get why they wanted to send her out of the room, because she just kept doing, like, the finger in the hole thing. Like, she's like, yeah, they're upstairs. Like, over and over again. And I was like, oh my God.
They're like, please leave. Please go anywhere else.
Yep. Let's see. I still have 4 pages.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Oh, we're at almost an hour.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a long one, folks.
But the movie's only 90 minutes. But each scene is so much, like, jam-packed into it because it's so short,
Now you get why I'm always like, cut to this, and
yeah.
cut to this, and cut to this. There's just so much in these bad movies.
Right. So Prude is wandering around the house, super drunk, stumbles into Schoolgirl and just starts going on about how she's like, I'm sorry, Mom, I didn't learn to play the piano. I really tried, but I didn't like it. And so she's like, do you still love me? And Schoolgirl's like, sure, I still love you. And, like, picks her up, right? And I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. And then she looks at her and she's like, you are not my mother. And she's like, nope. She's like, you're Amanda's retarded sister. And I was like, oh
my goodness.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And so she's like, I'm not retarded. I'm mentally imbalanced. And she's like, you're retarded. You're retarded and stuff. And she's like, nobody uses the R word anymore. Only bigoted, I don't remember, but she's like, only bigoted people do. And I was like, you're saying that to someone who's Asian.
Yeah.
Like, she's had her own, I'm sure she's had her own,
and she's really drunk.
And I'm just like,
we don't say that word.
We don't
even in 2013.
Yeah, like, and they were just straight up like, no, you're still a retard. And she's like, stop calling me a retard. And she's like, or what? Or I'm gonna kill you. And she's like, okay, I'm just gonna shut up now. And she's like, I gotta go find my sisters, and, like, wanders away. And so, she's like, you wouldn't really kill me, would you? And Schoolgirl just walks behind her with this, like, weird knowing smile, and you're like, okay. And I was like, wow, they went hard at that one. Like, yep.
Or I will kill you.
Yep. So as they're like waiting for everybody else to come back. Brunette, I guess, falls asleep on the couch for a second. And I think it's pretty late in the night, but I'm like, and everybody was drinking a little bit. So, and anytime I drink, I'm just out really fast. So like, you know me, I'm a lightweight. But she has a dream that Lizzie is talking to her stepmother. And here's the thing. As a child of my mom passing away, my dad getting remarried, and me having a stepmom, who I get along fairly well with my stepmother, okay? I would not have this conversation with her if this was me, okay? And this is Lizzie Borden, who hates her stepmother, okay? Says to her, I need to talk to you. And she's like, well, what do we need to talk about? And she's like, without the Bible. And she's like, well, there's no conversation we need to have without the good book. And she's like, it's about men. And the stepmother's like, choose your words very carefully. And she's like, I don't like them. Women. I prefer the company of women. And she's like, you disgust me. I'm going to tell your father about this. Which back in the day, I totally get that like Lizzie would be like, oh my gosh, don't tell my dad, he's going to fucking kill me. Like I could be put in jail for this kind of a thing. So I get that. But like, she's like, I will tell your father about this and he will handle you. Do you hear me? He will handle you. And this girl has perfected this weird like snarly like eye twitch thing. Like she's really good at that. Like, and she does it a lot. So like that's the thing. And so I'm like, that's why they hired her, I guess, because she's not very good at delivering her lines. So Lizzie decides now, like this is the conversation they have right before she kills her mother upstairs, or the stepmother. So she goes upstairs with the axe, and the mother turns around and she's like, what are you doing with that axe? And she goes, what I do on this day is only the beginning. Vengeance to those that judge me. And I'm like, so you're just gonna fucking murder everyone who's mad at you for being a lesbian?
Yeah, so this isn't about the estate, it's about you gay?
Yeah, like, and you're just murdering everybody? Like,
I mean, that's what I do.
Oh, yeah. So,
seems logical. Reasonable.
So then Brunette wakes up all of a sudden because, you know, she just watched somebody getting fucking murdered and stuff. And they come over and they're like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I just had a dream. And Glasses was like, you fell asleep. And Overreactor was like, well, yeah, how could you not fall asleep? This is such an exciting party. Like, and I thought that was a little funny. Yeah. She's not terrible. She's not a terrible actress. She's just not very great at this. I really think a lot of it was the directing and just
bad lines.
The bad lines and stuff. Like, because anytime she had to get mad, I was like, oh yeah, I will.
Well, and it's obviously like a low porn budget.
Yeah, so it's just, but like, it's definitely not as porny as I thought it was. Okay. But like, I mean, they do have like the naked and stuff, but like, you don't get to see too much more naked. It's mostly blonde slut who's in the shower because they find her body a couple of times and stuff. But like, anyway, But surprise. But they decide to she tells them about her dream, and she was like, you guys are gonna think I'm crazy and stuff. And Glasses was like, no, this is totally logical. We were just talking about it. We've all been talking about Lizzie Borden all night long. Like, you just had a dream.
We just listened to lesbian sex upstairs.
Yeah, like, duh, it makes sense, right? Yeah. And they were like, listen, we dare you to sing us a song. And they're like, make it about Lizzie Borden. Ha 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 ha, right? So this is the song, everyone. Ooh. I'm pretty sure you can hear it with her awesome microphone. So let's put it on this side.
Okay. I'm nervous.
With Borden.
Okay. All right.
They have a guitar.
Lizzie Borden's like no other. Took an axe and killed her mother.
Technically, it was her stepmother, but I'll allow it. Carry on.
We tried to conjure up her spirit, but I guess she didn't hear it. Must be out cupping a field on her dyke friend Nance O'Neill. Dykish like a prison warden. That's the tale of Lizzie Borden.
Oh, that's one of the that's one of the weird transitions it does.
I have full body goosebumps in the worst way.
like a dykish warden. What?
What else rhymes with Borden?
Like,
what are you gonna do?
But not dykish. Anyway, yep.
Oh boy. And then there's this awful swipe transition to the next scene. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, and I was just like hoping that they wouldn't have her sing. You know, because it would be one of those like, fuck you, you don't get to sing. Nope, they let her do it. And I'm like, was that in your contract? Were you like, I get to sing something in this? Yep.
Wow. Ouch.
Yep.
Ow, ow, ow.
Yeah.
Ow.
It's pretty bad. So, they're wandering around again. Prude and Schoolgirl wandering around again. And Prude goes, I was watching on TV one time that they said that crazy people are like really good at love. How do I find love? And I'm like, you're super drunk, so I get it, but like, no. And so, she just starts going on about how she's like, listen, the world is like a big puzzle, and you're just a piece that is having a hard time trying to find a piece to fit in, kind of a thing. And she's like, wow, that's so deep.
So prophetic.
So prophetic, you know? And then she starts quoting some other 80s songs of like, love is a battlefield, and, you know, like all that shit. And she's like, are you just quoting 80s love songs to me now? And she's like, I don't want to talk to you anymore, and leaves.
She's really good at that.
Yeah, and so she like goes to walk out. And then Prude hears like a ghost whisper and goes to follow her, but like slams into the wall and like falls down to the floor because she's that drunk, right?
Yeah.
And Schoolgirl goes upstairs and hears the shower going. So she goes to figure out what it is, and she finds Blonde Slut in the bathroom. And then you see Lizzie Zombie B standing there with an axe, and she's like, and then it transitions to another scene, so you don't get to see what happens, right?
Of course.
But Prude goes to follow Schoolgirl up the stairs, and she also finds Blonde Slut dead in the bathroom and screams, and it's a pretty epic scream. It's a pretty good scream.
Nice.
And the other girls are like, oh no, and run upstairs, right? Because they're like, why is she screaming? And that's when they see her in the bathtub, or in the shower, and they're like, she's dead. Oh my gosh, we need to get out of here, right? Mm-hmm. So they're just going like, oh man, what could have happened? We need to find a cell phone. We need to get out of here, right? So Brunette starts like, okay, I'm going to search the rooms. You go do this. You go do that. You go sit in the living room and wait for somebody to come in. And they were like, no, we're not splitting up. That's stupid. And I was like, okay,
split
good.
up the party.
Glad they went a little meta for that. But they were like, she was like, but we need to like search the house. We have to find everyone else. And they're like, not if there's a killer loose in here, you know? And
yeah.
I'm like, anyway, and then they're like, well, we have to go find everyone, so let's stick together and go find him. And Prude is like, well, your sister's here, we need to find her too. And she's like, she's here? What is she doing here? Yeah. And they're like, I just saw her and stuff. And so they go downstairs and decide that they need to go find their cell phones, so they go back upstairs, like a whole useless scene of them going downstairs only to go back upstairs.
Okay.
And
gotta get that runtime,
right? And go for the cell phone, which they know, or they walk into Brunette's room and her cell phone's missing, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? Like, probably all the other phones are missing too." Yada yada, and they're like, "Well, who could have been the killer? Like, who is it and stuff?" And they're like, "Well, we don't know where First Chick is or where Redhead is." And Brunette's like, "It's not any of them. Like, they wouldn't be killing any of us, right?" And so drunk Prude goes, "I think it's Schoolgirl." And she's like, my sister is not killing everybody. And I'm like, I wouldn't, honestly, I wouldn't put it past her. Nope. But, like, we clearly saw that she saw the ghost.
We
so, like,
know who it is.
We know who it, yeah. And they're like, as they argue for a second, and then Brunette is like, somebody must have broken into the house, and I know where the keys are, so we need to get out. And they're like, you know where the keys are? And she was like, yeah, for, like, an emergency. And they're like, well, this is an emergency.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden they look up, and Zombie Borden is just like walking towards them, like when you go into a spook house that's run by like your neighborhood, and like it's just the zombies that are like, I'm coming to get you.
I won't touch you.
Better run past me. Yeah, she's just carrying the axe, and it's like kind of music as they're all screaming and running out of the room, and she just like keeps walking as they shut the door, like waiting for her cue to stop, kind of a thing, like just.
Oh, no.
It's really bad. So they all go running from the room, and Brunette immediately is like, there's 4 of us, we can take her. And they're like, no, she's a ghost. And she's like, I don't believe in ghosts. And Overreactor goes, do you believe in axes?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Yeah, okay,
Yes.
right? And
I hate in movies when people see the thing and still say, I don't believe in thing. Like, you just saw.
Yep.
Like, what? So someone's dead.
Yep.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
I hate that so much.
Yeah, it's really bad. She's like, no, it's just somebody in a dress.
I don't believe in murderers.
Yeah, like,
Okay,
whatever. Somebody's in the house killing someone. That's all we know, right?
Yeah.
So she's like, come on, let's all go back in there. And she yanks everyone back into the room, and Zombie B is gone, right? And so they're like, still don't believe in ghosts now, because how could she would have had to walk out the door past them to get out, right?
Okay.
And which doesn't make sense to me later on in the movie, but whatever, ghost powers, I guess. So she's like, okay, well, we need to get out of here. Like, I'll go find, or like, one of the girls and I will go find the keys in the kitchen. You guys go try to find the other sisters, okay? And they're like, oh, this is so stupid. And Overreactor is like, yeah, because I have to be with fucking Janice and stuff, right? Like, she's not going to be any help.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and so they go all the way downstairs into the basement because they think first chick's down there, right?
Yeah.
And when they get into the basement, they run immediately into the pervy guy.
Sure.
Yep. And he's got like this like dollar store sponge mop that he's trying to use as a weapon kind of a thing, and they're like, who the fuck are you? And he's like, I'm Bobby Peeps with Bobby Peeps website. Like,
Oh my god.
and they're like, what the fuck?
BobbyPeeps.com.
Yeah. And they're like, what the fuck are you doing in here? And he was like, and then Lizzie B shows up and chops off Prude's head. Like, just whack, like chops it off. And Overreactor catches it, freaks out, and they both go running, right?
Oh boy.
So they're running off and hiding.
How did this head look?
Barely got to see it, but pretty
okay.
fucking fake.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
but like, Lizzie B took a real good, like, hey, batter swing! Like, just real good chop at that. Anyway, so they go running off, and there's a couple of like, this is happening, but this is the whole scene of Prude, or of Overreactor and Pervy Guy hiding, right? Because it jumps back and forth a lot. And a lot of the other scenes are just the girls running through the house. And so they decide to hide because what the fuck else, like, what else are they going to do? They're just, so they're sitting there, and he starts like, so you're looking pretty sexy in your booty shorts. And she's like, I'm going to fucking kill you. Like, shut up.
Really right now?
Really right now? And he's like, well, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I guess if I'm going to die, I need to confess this. And I was like, oh no. And it is. And he's like, I'm actually gay. And I'm like, okay. Right. And she's like, you're gay. You just broke into our sorority house to have sex with all of us.
Yeah.
And you're gay. And you're gay. And he's like, no, really I am. He's like, my mom doesn't know that I'm gay, but she knows that I have this website.
Excuse me?
Yeah. And I'm like,
this is your beard?
And that's exactly what what Overreactor said. She's like, oh, this is your beard. And he's like, what's a beard? And she's like, like your cover. And he's like, oh yeah, I guess so, kind of a thing. And she's like, well, why have you not told your mother? And he goes, well, I don't know. In my heart, I just think that she could accept me if I was a pervert, as long as I was like lusting after women. And I'm like, do you think this way about men? Are you like, oh, you're looking pretty hot there in your gym shorts?
Right.
Like
Anyway,
after getting this off of his chest, the rest of his acting is this weird kind of like quirky, like,
I'm gay now.
But not. It's kind of sweet, and he became my favorite character. Like, I know it's really stupid, but he's just like, all of his lines are still really bad. He just starts like, well, you should confess something. It feels really good to talk about stuff, like, kind of a thing. And he's like, you should get something off your chest, like your bra. And she's like my bra. And he's like, it's just a joke. Like, just, because he's like,
I'm still in character.
Yeah,
okay?
kind of a thing. And so she's like, well, I have anger issues. And he's like, you angry? No. And I'm like, oh, Bobby. Like, just the rest of his lines are really stupid, but I'm like,
okay,
Bobby, And if you saw him, you'd really like him too. Like, he's still a little bit annoying, but you're like, okay, he's at least funny. He's a funny character. Anyway, but they talk for like way too long about her and her anger issues and stuff. And then they talk about the ghost and everything. And he's like, that didn't look like a ghost to me. And she's like, you've seen a lot of ghosts? And he's like, well, no, it's just not what I thought a ghost would look like.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, well, it looked like a ghost to me, And then suddenly they're attacked, like the axe comes swinging down and stuff. And so they both jump up and go running, and Overreactor thinks that she's running with him and turns around and is like, come on, Bobby! And then sees that he's gone, and she's like, oh shit, and goes run back for him, right? Mm-hmm. But like manages to still get lost and like finds her way upstairs, okay? But he is backing up with Lizzie B coming at him with the axe, right? Mm-hmm. And he's just like, oh my gosh, okay, before you kill me, I need to confess something to you. And I was like, you've already confessed, dude. Like, it's off your chest, right? But he gets down on his hands and knees and he's like, I'm actually gay and I'm so ashamed of myself for not being proud of it. And if I could do it all over again, I would be who I am gonna be, and kind of a thing. No. And so Lizzie B's just like, her zombie ghost is just like, Another gay. And maybe, and he's like, and I would be proud of who I am, and I would scream it from the mountaintops. And so she's like, okay, kindred spirit, I'll let you live, and like fades away, which again doesn't make sense. Everybody confess that you're gay. Yeah. And so she's like, she just fades away, and he's like, oh my gosh, that just worked, right? Like, and so then you don't see him again for a good few minutes, right? So Overreactor runs upstairs, and she sees Redhead walking around the house, buck naked.
Okay.
Yeah, you see it.
Okay.
And like, but is like weirdly like legs over each other, like as weirdly
like
as she
crossing
could, like
your legs as you step.
And like she just looks so awkward and uncomfortable, and I'm just like, anyway.
Well, I would be too if I was naked.
Yeah, and she doesn't look like she's like in this weird trance. She looks like something's holding her in place and is like staring at Overreactor like, fucking help me kind of a look, but she doesn't say anything, right? Okay. So Overreactor comes up to her and she's like, Redhead,
what the fuck?
Like, what the fuck? And is like, okay, let's go. And Redhead grabs her head really fast, right? And she suddenly gets a vision of...
okay.
Yeah. Let's see. She suddenly gets a vision of Lizzie and her father, who was just like, why aren't you dating? And then slaps her and is like, you insolent child. Like, and it's the fakest, like Barbie arm movement slap of all time. And... he's like, what do you have to say for yourself? And she's like, I have nothing to say to you that you want to hear, so I'm just going to keep everything inside until it overflows like an ocean of rage.
And I kill everybody in my path.
Yeah. And a sea of rage, sorry. And then suddenly they're back in the room again, but Redhead's gone. And Overreactor's standing there by herself, and she's like, oh my gosh. And so she freaks out and runs downstairs. Well, Brunette, Glasses, and Schoolgirl run into each other at one point, and they argue for a good minute of like, what are you doing here? Oh, I want to live with you for a little bit. No, you can't live with me. I'm in college. This is my shot to go to college, and I'm taking every psychology course I can take so that I can learn how to take care of you. You just have to be patient for a couple of years. And she's like, a couple of years? And starts throwing a hissy fit. Oh, and then they start wrestling because like she's throwing pillows at her. And then she like...
That's what hot girls
do.
And
Brunette's like, I could totally just kick your ass right now. And she's like, then fucking do it. So she spanks her really hard. And she's like, fine, leave me alone, right? And so they're... Yeah. And so they're walking along, like, trying to find everybody else, right? Oh, because they couldn't find the keys.
Okay.
And, so they... Let's see. Oh, they run into Overreactor, like, run into each other, because they hear weirdo ghost noises again. And they're all like, oh my gosh, and freaking out. Oh, no, wait. No. Sorry. I skipped a scene. Sorry. They went downstairs. The three of them went downstairs. So Glasses, Brunette, and Schoolgirl go downstairs. And... as they come downstairs, they see first chick's body on the ground, dead. Okay, which they should have seen the guy too, because he should have been right there. They were literally standing right there where the guy died, but they didn't see his body. They just saw her, so I guess they just forgot that. Anyway,
okay.
So they see her and are like, oh my gosh, and then, Zombie B shows up and is like coming at them with the axe, and she goes to swing at Schoolgirl, and Perv Guy throws himself in the way, going, no! And gets hit, right? And as he's laying there on the ground dying, he's talking to his camera, and is like, don't be afraid to admit who you are, like, kind of, and I'm like, nobody's gonna see this, Bobby.
You can't post it.
You can't post it. And I guess Zombie B is like, well, I already hit him once, whack, 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 and just continues to hit him, and he, so the girls freak out, and they run upstairs, and that's when they run into Overreactor, and they're all like, oh my gosh, we just saw this guy get murdered downstairs, and she's like, oh, Bobby, dang it, like, and is like, oh man, And they're all like, well, we don't know who he was, but, and so they go running into the kitchen to talk for they go into the kitchen to talk for a second. And they're like, okay, who's still alive? And they're like, well, we don't know where Redhead and where First Chick are. And I'm like, you fucking saw First Chick's body laying there. Like, you saw her there.
Yeah.
Like,
what are you not comprehending?
Yeah, what don't you understand? They said nothing about Prude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were like, well, we don't know about Prude. And Overreactor wasn't like, oh, I saw her just get decapitated. Oh my gosh. Like, this is the first time they've seen each other since that happened.
Yeah.
So, like,
this is
nothing.
Not good communication.
No, not. But she goes, well, Perv said that he saw First Girl saw her dead body and stuff. And I'm like, he saw her get hacked, but okay.
Yeah.
And so they were like, okay, so she's dead. Oh my gosh. And what do we do? What about Redhead? And she's like, well, I saw Redhead upstairs and she was like totally naked. And then she just disappeared. And they were like, what, is she just naked and stuff, right? And they're like, well, who could be the killer kind of a thing? The sister was like, I know who the killer is. You all know who she is. And then suddenly coughs up blood because she's hacked in the back by zombie Lizzie, right? Just gets hacked and dies. And they're all like, no, and run away. And then they're sitting there trying to talk about it, and they're like, okay, then the only logical person it is Redhead, right? And
just dressed up in this awful...
Glasses says, well, your sister and this Bobby guy said that she didn't look like a ghost to them, kind of a thing. Like, they say that a couple times in the movie. Like, she didn't look like a ghost. Mm-hmm. And they're like, what are you talking about? We saw her. She's totally a ghost. That looks like a ghost, you know? And she's like, well, we were all in the circle of the seance. So what if we've been enchanted to see what Lizzie Borden's ghost wants us to see, but she's literally just possessing Leslie? And so, like, is Leslie, like, projecting this, like... image of Lizzie Borden on top of herself, I guess, like, or to those that were in the seance, because she doesn't want everyone to know that it's Redhead killing everybody, right?
Okay.
And I'm like, all right. So they're like, well, we have to talk to her then. And they go find her upstairs, right? And they don't find her upstairs right away. But they're like, well, we need to get out of here. Like, we need to escape. Let's just go try to find the keys again. And they're like, we've already tried to find the keys. We can't find the keys. Listen, let's open up the window and we'll use some bed sheets to, like, get out, right? So Janice goes out through the door, or out through the window. And as this is happening, Zombie B shows up in the room and they're like, oh my gosh, freaking out. And she's like about to whack at him when Brunette starts going, Leslie, it's us. It's your sisters, okay? Like, Lizzie, you need to let her go. Like, please, listen, I'm a descendant of Nans O'Neill. You loved Nans, right? Like, you don't want to kill me kind of a thing. And just let Leslie go and we'll accept her for who she is as we would have accepted you for who you were, kind of a thing. Like, like, it's okay not to be gay kind of a thing.
No, it's okay to be gay.
Oh, yeah, to be gay. Sorry, to be gay. And then she just pushes Brunette out of the way and starts hacking at Glasses anyway. Oh. And so Brunette screams and runs out of the room and runs downstairs, totally corning herself, right? Yeah. And so Lizzie comes down after her with the axe and everything. And at this point, Brunette's done and is just like, get out of Leslie, you zombie dyke. And like,
gay?
Yeah, just screams this at her. And then all of a sudden, Leslie just like, Lizzie B, Zombie B, tenses up. And you see Janice, like, stab her with a knife. And, like, how'd she get back in the house if it's locked?
It is locked up.
Did she go down to the basement and then back up the doors? Because how the fuck nobody could navigate the basement before, kind of a thing. Yeah. I don't...
And that quickly?
Yep, quickly, yeah. And she literally had to have gotten down outside, run inside to get to the kitchen because all of this happened right then. Yeah. Anyway, so then Leslie's now naked body is falling down to the floor and Brunette catches her and she's like, no, Redhead. And she just dies, right? And so she stands up and is looking at Overreactor and goes, Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks, and then does the whole rhyme, and Overreactor slaps her really hard in the face and is like, if you don't shut up, I'm going... What did she say? Oh, she's like, if you don't shut up, I'm going to hurt you. And I'm like, okay, but she's brandishing the very fake Halloween knife at her, right? It's like the plastic ones that if you push a button, it squirts the blood through the, those ones I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. So she like is slapped and is like, I'm okay. Let's just get out of here. And then they walk out the front door.
Oh.
And then end of the movie.
So we're just supposed to trust that she's not possessed.
But she's like kind of like, I mean, you can't tell if she's traumatized or possessed as she walks outside because Overreactor just grabs her hand and yanks her off down the street like they're going to go find help or something.
In their 90s.
In their 90s. Well, Overreactor's in a tank top and shorts. So, like, I'm like, that looks like the most comfortable outfit. Like, everybody else is wearing these, like, ridiculous...
Yeah, that's what I
dressy things. Yeah, I'm just like, no, man. Like, anyway. Yep. But they had a really jamming song for the end of it. Like, it was...
That does not look like a college student.
Oh, yep. Yep. Naked. Told you. Yep. No, none of them look like college students. They all look like they're in their 20s.
At least.
Yeah. Or not 20, like in their
30s.
30s, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on. And I was like, this is actually kind of jamming. Like,
I'll take it.
But it took 4 people to write the Lizzie Borden song that the girl sang earlier, that Brunette sang.
Oh,
like,
boy.
4 people. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. I was like, what?
So if it was really Redhead that was projecting Lizzie Borden but was possessed by Lizzie Borden, how did she, like, get the power to, like...
Teleport.
Around, yeah.
And fade around. Ghost powers, I guess.
But she
like,
has a physical body.
Yeah. And Lizzie's spirit needed a physical body to be able to just, like, murder all these people. And I'm like, her whole thing, Lizzie's got no revenge. She's got nothing to be doing with this revenge. It's just Lizzie being a fucking dick.
Yeah.
Like...
Because they summoned her.
But, like, she's like, I'm gonna, like, murder everyone for judging me. And I'm like...
They weren't
judging...
I mean, they made, like lesbian jokes.
But, like... They weren't like, oh, yeah, no, that's so wrong that she's gay. Like,
yeah.
No, they were just like, no, you don't know that. Like, none of us know that kind of a thing. And she's just going around killing people because fuck you, I guess. Like,
angry.
And I'm like, I hate when they have plots like that where they're like, well, I was murdered because they thought that I killed all these kids in the town. I killed the kids in the town, but like, they killed me anyway. But still. And like, so now I'm getting revenge on all the people in the town that killed me. And I'm like,
but you did it.
But you did it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no revenge you should be getting. You did it.
You're
like,
just angry.
Yeah, and I hate those kind of plots where they're like,
yeah,
like that's the plot of Dead Silence, and I'm like, that's not how that works.
No.
Like, that's the plot of this one. That's not how that works. Like, it's not like it's not like Lizzie had been killed for being a lesbian. Like, she just
was angry.
She was just pissed because her parents wouldn't accept her. And I'm like, well, that was the time period, I'm sorry to say, but like...
But that's also not why she killed them.
No! If she killed them, she killed them,
yeah.
And
oh,
you can't
boy.
convince me she did it.
No.
Like, yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, so what do you rate it?
It was so bad.
Like, just looking at, like, the budget, oh my gosh. The budget was $20.
Yeah.
I swear.
Like,
I don't know how they afforded the 90s.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say. Like, the thing they charged the most was the 90s.
Yeah.
So, like, and even then, those were pretty cheap 90s. Like,
yeah.
The first chick, I think, had the first chick and Prude had the most expensive ones. Like,
yeah,
and Schoolgirl's dumb Britney Spears outfit. Like,
yeah, they never explained that.
She's just there wearing it.
Yeah.
Like,
she just wanted to feel pretty.
I guess.
Cool.
And you're like, okay, yeah, because that's what I do when I sneak into my sister's sorority house. Yeah. Like,
also, why did Lizzie Borden kill her parents? Like, kill the...
Oh, yeah, like...
Schoolgirl's
parents. I don't think she did.
And then she said that she didn't.
But she said she didn't.
But so then why was there the vision of it?
I have no idea.
And how did they die? And what the fuck? Why was that part of it?
No idea. What? I don't know. I'm like, there's so many like little things that don't make sense. Like, I get what they were trying to do. I get it. Like, it made a movie. It did.
Sure.
Yep. It definitely did. I just,
Doesn't shit like this just like make you want to make a movie?
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, they did it.
Yeah, they did it. I can make a movie and it'll go on Netflix. Like,
Yeah.
So.
Ugh. I don't know what's worse though, the zombie from this week or the zombie from last week.
I feel the zombie from this week had a tiny bit more budget than yours did.
I think so too.
So, like, I mean, that dress alone had to, like...
Well, and like the way, like, the thing is, no one tries to make her look like Lizzie Borden.
Nope.
Like, and in the one that I did last week, the newspaper clipping had a picture, like an actual historical picture of Lizzie Borden in the newspaper clipping. I'm like, so you know what she looks like. Why didn't you make her look like that?
Attempt. Because she's a brunette, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this Lizzie Borden is blonde as blonde can be.
Yeah.
Like...
She's pretty.
She pretty.
Yeah.
And just...
No, they're just like, hot girl. Let's put a hot girl in there.
Yeah.
Let's give her weird hair.
And it was all curled and hanging around. That's not the hairstyle
No,
of back
her
then.
hair was like slicked and like back in a bun and like, ugh.
Nope, and she just had these like little rings. They had the slick back when she was zombie Borden and killing everybody, but like not earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
Like anytime they had the vision of her
Oh, like
back
the
in the
historical
old, she just was like hanging out and here I'll show you. Like she's just hanging out in ringlets and stuff. And yep, there's the porny intro. See, those are garbage cans.
Yeah.
Like benches. Like they were like,
It
oh
looks
yeah,
like they were like, let's put a sepia filter over it. That'll make it look old. With the palm trees? What the fuck?
Yep.
Oh, this is bad.
Yep.
Oh, it does just look like sheets on the wall.
Yep.
Much work to be done.
And they couldn't even iron the sheets. Like they're all wrinkly. Like
Oh
More of
no.
this is
Oh, I'm getting cringes.
it's
oh, no.
bad, man. It's real bad, man.
I kind of want to watch it with you though.
Yeah. If you ever want, we can watch it. Because
Okay.
like we can watch it, but
Also don't watch
But
it.
don't watch it, man. Like, watch it if you totally plan on seeing full frontal nudity and okay with, like, weird, awkward boobiness. Like, all I'm saying, though, is I really hate movies that if I have to see boobs and you show me the ugliest of boobs, these weren't that bad of looking boobs, okay?
good.
Most of them were fake. So, like,
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But I was looking up some of the actresses and stuff, and Blonde Slut is like specifically an actress because she's like also partially an activist or something of certain things, and so she's like, I'm literally just here acting so that people know that who I am and like I can
right.
talk about stuff. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
all right, that works. So
I also just want to mention that when we first looked this up
Yeah.
to, I was going to actually watch it initially, but I couldn't find it anywhere online that wouldn't give me viruses. But I looked it up, and the cast list that comes up just on Google, I messaged Alyssa and I was like, this looks like a porno. Like just based off of their pictures, like as cast members, not even from the movie. I was like, oh no. Like,
Oh,
did you
no.
ever see this?
yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
It's so
that first one, yeah, she's Blonde Slut.
Ah,
Yep,
alrighty.
yep,
Of course her name is Ashley.
yep.
Oh boy.
It's just, it was, I rate this,
Oh yeah, that's what we were doing.
I rate this a 3 out of 10.
Ooh.
I had a little fun with it.
Wow.
I there were parts that I laughed. I had a good moment at a couple of times, like especially Perv's lines, Bobby's lines.
Yeah.
Some of the, like, the way he just was like, oh, I'm just kind of an awkward dude pretending to be a pervert. Like, just, he was kind of funny. Like, he was a little funny. So, most everything he said, you're just like, oh, shut up, you know? But, like,
Yeah.
after knowing that it was all an act, I'm like,
Oh.
that's kind of funny.
Okay.
Like, it was kind of funny. But at the same time, like, still don't act like a pervert just for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
Like,
For your mother's approval.
yeah.
There
I'm
are
like,
other ways.
I would so much rather my son be gay than a weirdo pervert, like,
Breaking
breaking
the
into
law.
houses. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Committing crime.
I'm pretty sure everyone in the world would rather have a gay child than a rapist child. Like, so, almost.
I hope so.
Normal
but,
people.
You know.
Normal people should want that. So, yep.
So that's that.
That's that movie.
Lovely. Hopefully we won't have something Lizzie Borden related next week.
Yeah,
'cause I think I need a little break.
No more
that, but-
no more Lizzie B.
No.
I'm good.
She can stay
Yep.
dead.
Very dead.
Respectfully.
Yep.
Dead.
Unless she murdered her parents and then fuck her. So
Respectfully.
respectfully. Don't come for me, Lizzie B. So,
All right.
well, thanks for joining us this week.
See you later.
See ya.